Welcome to the Engineering Seed podcast.
Well, Sam, welcome to the Engineering Seed. Could you maybe just kick us off with what got you into engineering? Was there anything in particular, like your parents did it, or what got you into it?
Yeah, my dad was a mechanical engineer, so I guess I did have that influence pretty early on. But I did find early on through high school, I really enjoyed building things. Actually, even much younger than that, we had old Meccano sets. We used
Yeah.
to build those kind of like Lego, but for future engineers. And
Yeah.
I was loved working on little projects here and there, and yeah, trying to experiment with stuff, pulling stuff apart, and so I probably had a very similar um, interest than my dad. And actually, I didn't start off in engineering. I started off in actuarial studies. I did that for
Yep.
1 year, and then quickly realized, I prefer actually building things and more practical
Yeah. Okay.
side of learning. So I transferred from Macquarie University to UNSW
Yep.
in a double degree of structural engineering and commerce, and I really enjoyed that. I think as soon as I was there, I felt I'd chosen the right subject, and sort of the rest is history.
Yeah. Sweet. So, did you go into and like university into the degree thinking about doing the business as well, or was that just was that the double degree what you had to do, or what was that?
I chose a double degree basically because I'd already done 1 year of commerce,
Okay.
and commerce is only 2 more years. And I thought, you can combine commerce with pretty much anything that you do. Any career that you have has an element of business studies to it,
Yeah.
and having that knowledge would be useful anyway. But then I wanted to combine it with something very technical, like engineering. So for me, that was a really great fit. But when I first got there, I wasn't thinking too much about it as especially as a student, you're trying to just figure out
Yeah.
something
That's
that you're
right.
interested in. And I guess towards the end of that of my studies there, that's when I started to really look. Okay, well, what am I going to look into for my career? What are some of the roles that I could do? What are some of the different avenues that I could take this degree or this double degree and apply it to something that I'm interested in? And I think that's when I started to think a little bit more about my career and what I wanted to do for at least
Yeah.
the first part of that.
So were you thinking about that like right at the end when you were graduating, or was that something that you were thinking maybe midway through your degree?
I guess midway through, I found interests like I really like structural and even hydraulic engineering. So I think I found my interest in terms of what specialization I would be interested in.
Yeah.
And it's good the way the university set that up is that you do 2 or 3 subjects of like geotech or hydraulics or civil structural engineering.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I really like structural. So I guess that part of my studies, I was trying to figure out, what specialization or what field of engineering I wanted to pursue. And landed on structural. And then
Yeah.
towards the end, it was more about, what part of structural engineering or, project management, or do you like the hands-on design, or in our case, software. So you kind of like every year you would get a little bit closer to your first stage of what you want to start off in what area.
Yeah. So from graduating to where you are now, did you sort of have a plan on what you were going to do to eventually run a business, or was it just something that developed over the next few years into into you pursuing this business, or was there any behind that?
No, so towards the end of the year, my partner, who's my co-founder Paul, and we were both studying the same courses at university. I think we started to find a little bit of a hobby or a passion around programming. We kind of got drawn to it a little bit. It's the same as any engineering. You're building something, you're solving a problem. You need to achieve some sort of goal. There's some objective to what you're trying to build, and you need to use the tools or the skills that you have to achieve that goal. And for us, that was something that we're pretty interested in. It was always exciting that you're trying to get this code to work, and it wouldn't work, and then you'd finally get it to work, and it would,
Yeah.
achieve what you were trying to make it do. So we were kind of drawn a little bit to programming, and towards the last year or two, we started tinkering around and trying to build solutions to little things and mobile apps and websites, and sort of learn how to program, and at the same time, towards some project that could amount to something.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of had I'm pretty lucky, but both my parents were running businesses at the time, and actually most of their lives. So I've kind of grown up around people who like to, in that environment of running your own business. And that was something I definitely wanted to do. I didn't think it would be this early. I thought I would have had a career and maybe learned, made my mistakes in a company to learn. But as it happened, the opportunity was there for Paul and I. So we jumped into it. So I would say I was always interested in starting something myself. But I never thought it would happen straight out of university. So.
How did you go about identifying that problem that you're solving in this business now? Was that something that you found through any jobs that you had, or talking to people, or what was that?
Yeah, good question. Because actually, I think the best businesses that exist out there are solving a real problem, and are the easiest businesses to launch because people are already searching and looking for it. We didn't know that at the time, but in hindsight, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why SkyCiv has done so well, is because at the time we identified that there was no real online tools for, in this case, a simple beam analysis. So we both Paul and I had Google searched it. We'd ask a few friends, and there just seemed to be no solution to this problem. So something that you could quickly and easily get your results to a beam analysis. And so like bending moment diagrams, shear force diagrams, that sort of thing. And so we would ask a few more classmates, and we did a little bit of research, and found that, that there's probably a pretty good opportunity here because it doesn't exist. We saw the search volume that was there. So we did a bit of research in terms of like needs, and found that, there's a very simple, solution that we can build here that will solve that need. And that was our first tool. That was the original website was called bendingmomentdiagram.com, like straight to the point. We knew people were searching those keywords, so we thought, all right, let's put it in the URL, literally put it in the domain to rank better for Google. And it all started from that. That was really the first insight we had to programming and running a business and business models and revenue and all that. Like that was the first project that we launched to try to solve a problem. And then things sort of just progressed from there. We would get a lot of requests for more features. Actually, very early on, we didn't have the features built, but we wanted to get an idea of what people wanted, and so we would put like purchase now for these features, and we didn't really have those features yet. So it was all really like a learning phase. And we then through that and through surveying people and asking around, we discovered that there was actually a much larger gap in the market for cloud software in general in structural engineering. There was no cloud software at that time.
Okay.
So yeah.
So is this something that's used, I assume, by businesses and things like that, rather than, I guess, students? Because were you developing it when you were in university still? Yeah,
we started off as students, so the only problem we understood were other students that the problems they were facing. But once we graduated, we started doing more research and interviewing more structural engineers, because structural engineers were actually using it. We learned that there still was those missing pieces in terms of professional side of things. What were they missing? What type of software did they not have access to, or it wasn't serving a need for them, or things they didn't like, which were based around cloud. Getting access on a monthly subscription, that was a big one that wasn't available at the time. Software that's very intuitive and easy to use and fast, because they need to turn these projects around quicker. They can't be working around with this clunky software that was built in the 80s. They want better software. So yeah, we started to uncover all these other problems or needs that professionals had, and then started to tailor the product.
I guess, yeah. So what I was thinking was, coming at it as a student, just getting into the industry or not even, I guess there are people that are trying to start businesses or whatever now and trying to identify problems. What would you say was sort of the best way that you're going about getting that market research and understanding and even providing a product for industry professionals when I guess arguably you weren't quite there yet?
Yeah, another great question, because it definitely took a lot of time. We didn't have that experience of working in the field. So, a few things you could do is definitely one I would recommend. First off, is interview your customer as much as you can. Ask them out for coffee or a phone call. Most people have a lot of problems with what they're trying to do in work. Like, there are a lot of frustrations. They have a lot of pain points already. So just ask them about them and just press them on those, and you'll find they'll be happy to spill their guts on it, because it's like something that you're trying to help. You're trying to solve a problem for them. So that was something we did very early on, and that really helped set the stage of the solutions we're trying to provide, because we understood those really key problems that people were having. Another thing is actually having a co-founder on board who has been in the field. We see that a lot because we do a lot with UNSW's entrepreneurship programs, and find that helps a lot, because they have experience. They know exactly what the role is, and the problems that they face. And even if you don't have them on as a co-founder, have them on as a mentor or someone who believes in what you're trying to do. And again, there's no shortage of people who want to help in that space. So that if you don't have that expertise or that experience, you have to fill it with other people, whether that's through interviewing or just asking your customer or mentor or co-founder. Because it will help you a lot in the long run.
Yeah. So could you talk about where, I guess, SkyCiv is now, what sort of industry it serves, what features and what sort of things that people use in the product that you provide?
Yeah, so specifically for structural engineers, we do have a few mechanical engineers and naval architects that use it, but the real core market is structural engineers. And they're using it to design anything from like a very small chassis or a small beam, all the way up to much larger and complex projects like bridges or what was the one we saw recently? Train station. A really cool train station came through. So kind of a broad spectrum, but our real bread and butter is a smaller projects, something where you can go in, get the results you need real quickly, and be on about your day. So that's really where we found a lot of success in terms of customers and projects. It just fits really well because you can jump on, you can sign up for a monthly subscription. If it's a smaller project, you only need it for a few months. It gives them that flexibility and that ease of use. Like they know how to use it pretty quickly. It's pretty easy to learn. So that's been our best market. But we also have really, really good student following as well. Because we were students originally and we built it for students, the user interface is really, really user friendly. Obviously, you access it through a web browser. So, if you're anything like me, I don't like installing a lot of stuff. I like to just, if there's a cloud version, I'll use that one. And I think that really, it is preferred by students and even teachers who want to, they need to use this software for a course of 100, 200 students. It's really hard to get access for all those students, particularly if they're using MacBook. Like we're the only one that works on Mac, iPads, whatever. You can use it all.
Do you have your customer base, is that international now?
International, yeah. We're in 160 countries.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's another real great thing with technology and the cloud is you don't have to be, you don't have to have boots on the ground in those regions. People are going to search on Google, whether they're from the US, Canada, or Europe, wherever. So you can actually get this really, really global scale from a simple solution. just because of the way that we have, technology that is available to us today. So that was a very, we sort of did that on purpose in the beginning. We used a .com. We even used like American language, like spelling words with Z's.
Yeah.
Really tried to target that market because we knew that was probably going to be the most important. Looking at what the big picture could look like. You don't have to limit yourself to a region. You can really open up the scope of where this software could be used. I think Australians are pretty good at having a much larger vision.
Yeah.
And companies like Atlassian or Canva, they've absolutely killed it on a global scale just from having that mentality that you shouldn't be limited by what you're building.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. So become like you're, I guess, leading this company. What's your title at the company? Is it like you're a CEO, like you're just directing it, captain?
Yeah, I mean, I wear a few hats. So whatever I need to be on that day, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the title's CEO, but yeah, like it's whoever needs, like whatever side of the business needs to get to that point. I obviously programmed and developed a lot of the software, so I do still quite heavily involved in product development. But my partner, he's the CTO. He definitely leads the charge on the technical side.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, customer support, money, whatever it is, janitor, anything, like whatever needs doing, I'm there.
Sweet. Yeah. So what things do you, I guess, look for? I guess one thing about this podcast is trying to also give skills to young engineers and things like that. What sort of skills and things do you look in people when you're hiring and, the best candidates?
For me, probably a pretty intuitive answer, but it's so true because there's so many times you come to an obstacle, you don't know the answer. And that passion drive will get you through in terms of learning how that works or how to do that. And I found it's probably the number one attribute that I've found has been in our best performing employees has been those people with really, really good drive and ambition to solve the problem. I think that's really, really important because that persistence is really important.
Awesome.
Like I said, you're going to hit problems and so I'm not sure if it cut out by then, but I think, when I'm conducting an interview, I'd probably weigh that higher is that attitude towards learning and drive towards what you're doing in terms of, because you could have someone who's really, really technical, but you prefer to have someone who's willing to learn on their own and with you as well, because you'll find that person will progress so much further in the same time frame.
So it sounds like, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think there's been studies that have been done that 85% of your the success in your career is attributed to your soft skills, like your people skills and things like that, and 15% is on the technical side. So I think a common mistake is people focus too much on the technical side. And try to develop, which are really important, especially in engineering. But you really shouldn't neglect the other 85%, which is your soft skills, communication, and passion and attitude. I think that is really, really important in the workplace.
Yeah, definitely. So just going back to SkyCiv again, you said that it is used in education. What sort of things, is it able to be used by students and stuff like that to learn? Because I guess at the end of the day, it is still useful to have some of those technical skills and some of those potential industry skills as well. So what do students use SkyCiv for, and how does it teach them skills to be used in industry?
Definitely, yeah. So it is commercial software, so it's used by professionals. So it is, but it does have a really, really intuitive and easy interface. And how that helps students is that when they're learning the principles of structural engineering, they don't have to worry about the complexity of the software. I remember when I was studying, we were using a particular software back then, and it was really, really difficult. It was so many buttons and really, really hard to understand how you would start on the software. And that was something that I really struggled with learning, in the principles of how to use this software, because it was just so complex. So having a simpler interface really helps students learn how to use this type of software. And it can be a lot of feedback we get from teachers is the onboarding process of the learning curve is just way shorter using SkyCiv, and they're still learning the same fundamental principles that they would be with the more complex software. Other things like we have open calculations. So when we're doing, say, a design check for Australian standards, we'll show the step-by-step with the clauses, with the incremental results. So students can go through those and really understand what's happening in the background, or understand how you would apply these design codes to a structure. So that open, calculation modules that we offer really help in the learning process, because you can see what the software is doing rather than the software just going, yeah, here's your answer. So they've been two really important things. And I'd say the third is just accessibility. Like I said, being able to jump on your tablet or have it, a lot of students never had access to this type of software because they use a MacBook. Now students can have access at any time. Regardless of what device they're using.
Awesome. I guess, as I mentioned before we got into it, we're in pretty unprecedented times. You said, do you all work from home usually? Is that how your business operates?
No, we work from a co-working space in the city. So, but we have 1 day a week where we work from home. So kind of flexible working conditions. So really it's just gone from 1 day to 5 days, but it's been, pretty, it's been an okay transition. Some people do work from home. Like we have people in different countries that work purely from home, so that the adjustment for them was pretty minor. And in terms of like using the technology that we use, we just operate from laptops. We just work from laptops, so it's pretty easy to adjust.
So I guess, are there any sort of things that you've been finding that help you work better from home? Like, are there any tips that you might be able to give students when they're working from home, when they're studying, to maximize their learning and to make the most of it?
Yeah, definitely, because we do have these challenges with the rest of our team. So one that I normally do, I can't do obviously in this situation, is go to a cafe in the morning. I'll usually spend a few hours there, or if I'm ever feeling a bit like my productivity is starting to dip, I'll pick up my laptop and head off to a cafe or a library. I do find that really just just gets you started again, and you'll find you're most productive at that time. Separating your living space from your workspace is a really important one. It's easy if your bed's right there, it's in the morning, and you're like, you're doing a few hours, that bed looks pretty comfortable. But having a clear separation of work and living space is really important, whether it's a desk, just something separated from your living quarters. What else? Good music. I think each person, everyone's different, but that they're the things that I found personally have helped me a lot.
And were there anything, looking back on uni, are there any sort of things that you look back and you're like, oh, maybe I should have done more of this, maybe I should have thought about my future beforehand? Because I guess something that I've found looking back is that I went through uni for the most part and just went through the subject just to get through the subject. I didn't really go through the subject to have an outcome of the subject. So I didn't get that, I guess, practical learning necessarily as much when I'm just trying to get through the subject. That's just what I sort of look back and regret almost in some ways. Are there any things that you look back, whether they helped you or maybe didn't help you in the way that you went about university?
I think following your interests as early on as possible. Like I said, I mean, I've always felt like I like building things, and then I kind of deviated from that when I went to choose my subjects. I went to more business sense, which I was interested in business, but I definitely had more of a passion to build things. So you really should follow what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, and don't worry as much about like, what's the salary going to be like, or things like that. Because if you're good at what if you're interested in something, you're going to become good at it. And if you're going to become good at it, the rest will follow, and you'll be much, much happier and much more successful in something that you're really passionate about. So, I was quite similar to you. I think I went through some subjects that I wasn't interested in, and just, got through them. But one thing I'm really glad I did was I recognized that I was interested in certain areas, and did more like curricular activities to pursue those, whether they weren't like officially organized activities. There were things that I did in sometimes during the other subjects I wasn't interested in. I was like tinkering with software, or I was, I even chose my thesis because I didn't feel like I had a really good understanding of structural analysis software. I chose a thesis that would help me learn more about that. So I think a lot of that is really, you have to be active about it. You have to be the one that is proactive to follow that, and choose those that thesis subject that you're interested in, or do that extra activity that you're not required by university to do. But I'm glad I did things like that, because that's essentially what spawned the company. Because had we not built that beam calculator, because we just built it because we were interested in it, no other reason. If we hadn't done that, then I probably wouldn't be here today. One thing students have a lot of is time. I don't know, I might not feel like it, but you get holidays, you have student breaks, you have slower weeks than others, you have courses that are pretty easy, and you can do research. You use that time to follow what you're interested in and what you're passionate about. Because it's probably the best decision I made. Yeah.
Actually, what just came to my mind as well was, I just wanted to ask about the business partner. Was he a mate, or did you sort of find each other because you complemented each other's sort of abilities, or was it you had similar abilities? Is there anything that in particular that you found a reason why you started a business with this guy?
Funnily enough, he's actually my neighbor. So we've grown up together. We're really, really close friends. And we had very similar interests. But if you're looking to like start a business, or pursue some sort of project, I definitely recommend finding someone who does complement your strengths and weaknesses. So Paul is really good technically, and he's got a very, very good technical mind. I'm probably a little bit more on the business side, sales, marketing. I mean, I obviously did a lot of the development stuff, but I think we've naturally kind of progressed and deviated to our more natural respective areas, and that's been fantastic to have both of those sides of the business covered, and covered by family. I think there's actually a common analogy that when you're starting a business, you should always have a hustler, a hipster, and a hacker. So hacker being like the CTO, the CTO, the real technical guy. The hustler's like the business, the sales guy. You go, drums up business for you, and then the hipster is the design, the marketer, that all that sort of
creative
area of the business. Yeah, exactly, creative side of the business. And I think that's really, really important, because I've seen a lot of businesses that had the technical side covered so well, built great product, but they didn't have the marketing and the sales under control. So yeah, I think look at yourself, look at what strengths you have, look at some of the people around you, and see if there's a good complement there. And if so, you get along with the person, I think that you guys can make a great team.
Awesome. Well, Sam, thanks so much for your time, mate. All the best, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
Yeah, no worries, Declan. Nice chatting to you.
Really appreciate this.